close to the speed of light, special relativity provides us with a means of going to the stars.
leave behind the said and done. Figure out what's to come. Reasons, all the bigger things I can't ignore. I'm not getting what I came here for. Gotta get ahead of something more. So I think I found a new way out, way beyond a shadow of doubt. 'Cause I can't breathe. And I guess I could be stronger now and leave it up to fate somehow. But I'm doing this for me. Give it up, baby, I'm not fooling anyone. Always going on and on. Can't you keep it to yourself for once? Oh, I think I found a new way out, way beyond your shadow of doubt. And I can't breathe. Oh, I hope you're keeping count of all the times you let me down, and all the things you said out loud, the bullshit I could cry about. And I know we could be stronger now and leave it up to fate somehow. But everything I do for me.
I get lost sometimes and I can't seem to find a light between the walls I built for myself right in my mind. And then you came over and you showed me love that I never had seen before. And now when I got you, it's all gonna be alright. Thinking about all the things we did tonight, what a time to be alive. Just you and I, just you and I. Only you can put the fire out. You can turn it all around. You can lift me off the ground so we can fly again, so we can fly again. I've been trying hard not to go out of my mind. And all I need right now is for you to stay the night. But if you keep saying that you've got to leave, then I'm gonna be alright. As long as you tell me that we ain't running out of time. Thinking about all the things we did tonight, what a time to be alive. Just you and I, just you and I. Only you can put the fire out. You can turn it all around. And you can lift me off the ground so we can fly again, so we can fly again. So we can fly again.
slowly than stationary particles. As strange and counterintuitive as it seems, time dilation is a law of nature.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to today's action here at the Paul Ricard circuit. A cloudy qualifying, it looks like, and we're going to be bringing you the qualifying from Rabbit Joe, who's back this week, and a very, very strange line there. Then as we go into tonight's race, the championship separated by 8 points from the top four. The top four teams separated by 7 points. And what a night we are in for here in France. It's going to be fantastic. Gary 131 leads the way from Unorthodox by 3 points. Forzy and Big Boy Brazier tied on 61.8 behind. Fury then on 55 with PM Motorsport. Fury on 27 with PM Motorsport on 20. DJ Phil and Mazda tied on 19 with Rabbit Joe tied with A. Smith in 9th on 18. Lucas Roth on 17 points. Craig E on 16. Leon Fernie on 5. That Bozzy Boy Brins, Ricky Devil all on 1, and Shane on 0 points. Fury disqualified from the qualifying session. We hope to be getting Forzy in this first race. We hope he can get in. That is the case anyways. Rabbit Joe is coming towards the end of his race, of his qualifying lap here. And at the minute, it's Dan from Big Boy Brazier, from Master from Gary, Lucas Roth, Rabbit Joe, Sooty Apex into this one, as well as PM Motorsport, Craig E. Smith and Fury down in 11th places. Gary has moved ahead of Rabbit Joe has moved ahead of Lucas Roth then in this qualifying session at the moment. So good stuff from Rabbit Joe, as Lucas Roth has actually tumbled down the order a little bit. Sooty Apex has now gone quicker than him, and it is going to be Unorthodox that looks like he's going to carry on his fine form by 0.2 of a second. Sooty Apex pipped Rabbit Joe at the end as well. And for poor old Rabbit Joe, he's got to wait one more time. But don't forget Dan, that is now his third pole position, and every time he's took pole in this series, he's not won the race or not had the best races. Sedan from Big Boy Brazier, Mazda then Gary, Sooty, Rabbit Joe, Lucas Roth, PM Motorsport, Craigie, A. Smith, and then Fury at the back of the pack. And we hope that we can get Forzy in as well a little later on, as that would be brilliant to see him on the grid here. So 21 seconds until this is ready to go. And if you are here watching, let's hear from you in the comment section. Also hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel if you are new, as we hopefully want to get to 350 subscribers as soon as possible then. So that is job done, and away we look to go for the start of this race in just a moment's time then. And would you believe it, it's a wet one here in France, and I don't think the drivers will know this yet. I'm just going to tune into Dan's stream on my mobile and see if Dan is aware that it's wet. But it does look to be a wet race here for the sprints, let's not forget. As Dan's face on his stream, it shows it's wet, and looks like it's going to be wet all the way through. So poll going out, who will win race one? And don't forget the reverse grid, so A. Smith will start on pole. As we all get ready to go then. The pole going out now. And hopefully then, everybody will be able to get away. Fury disqualified in the session already. So hopefully Fury can get back. Hopefully Fury can be there for the race. But here we go then. 12 people currently watching. 7 likes. Hit that thumbs up button, guys, girls. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel if you are new. A. Smith, Craig E, PM Motorsport, Lucas Roth, Rabbit Joe, Sooty Apex, Gary 131, Mazda, Big Boy Brazier, and Unorthodox is the grid. And A. Smith on pole. In terms of the team's championships, then it is ART, who are currently leading it, 4 points ahead of Carlin. Pramer are third, 6 points behind. High Tech fourth, 7 points behind, but they've not got none of their drivers in at the moment. Trident are 42 points behind with both their drivers in. Vitozzi Racing, I will get that name right, on 20 points. HWA Race Lab on 16, Campos Racing on 6, and MP Motorsport on 1. And yeah, this is going to be an interesting race. It's going to be an interesting night. As the conditions here look absolutely terrible. Then get your votes in for who you think is going to win this first race, as Gary's now been disqualified from the session. That'll be for tapping another car. And here we go then. The tyres, we already know who's going to be on what tyre here. So we'll leave that on position. In fact, we'll leave that on none. Get the lap data, get the track map onto full. As they come around the final corner then, and Smithy and Craigie have not wasted any time. As they line up on the grid now. And let's see if these boys can get underway. As we await the rest of the pack to line up, then it's A. Smith alongside Craigie on the front row of the grid. And it's going to be green very shortly then. 2 lights, 3, 4, 5. Held, it's green and go here for the Formula 2s at Paul Ricard, and a great start from the back of the pack. Fury has managed to get away, so he is in for race 1. That is great to see. And down towards turn 1 they come for a 5 abreast in the background. Smithy through, so is Craig, Lucas Roth, Sutty Apex, Gary and Master as well get through cleanly. Rabbit Joe didn't get the best of starts as Big Boy Brazy, and neither did PM Motorsport. He's down the pack. Joe ahead of Dan, who didn't get away well. He's only gained on PM Motorsport at the minute. And Dan, they're not having the best of starts as PN well off, and Fury there as well, not having the best of runs through the first couple of corners. He's down the pack. Rabbit Joe makes another place as well as Dan, who's side by side now with Fury. And does Fury get back ahead of an Orthodox? You bet your bottom dollar he's going to try it. And these two battled it out all in GT3s last season. They're now battling on the Paul Ricard circuit. Rabbit Joe very wide there. And as they come down the straight for the first time, look at Lucas Roth. He's got Gary to the outside of him, I do believe. No, that might be Sutty Apex on the outside of him. He's trying to look up the inside of Craigie, and in the wet weather they are all through cleanly. Gary and Sutty Apex going side by side, and Gary squeezes up the inside of Lucas Roth and round the outside of Sutty Apex. What a move from Gary, leading this championship race, and he's making moves already. In the background you've got Big Boy Brazier, who's just got to looking on the back then of Mazda as well. He's on the back of Sutty Apex. A. Smith, he's checked out up front so far, really has got away as Big Boy Brazier now gets out of Mazda, tries to tuck underneath, but it's around the outside, sorry, but Mazda is going to fight this one back. A little further up, Lucas Roth and Gary are battling nice. Gary and Craigie, as Gary looks around the outside of Craigie, and that is job done. Gary up into second place, and it's an ART 1-2 here. Down then to Dan. Him and Jamie have both got ahead of Mazda then, so they've cleared him. On to Sutty Apex, who's having a look at the outside of Lucas Roth. There you see Craigie as well. Look at the background, Mazda Fury well off, and there's Dan and Jamie. Lucas Roth is wide. And that's Mazda already into the pit lane, so I wonder why Mazda's pitted. Is Fury in as well, I wonder? Not at the minute, but Mazda pits. A. Smith leads this race from Gary, Craigie, Lucas Roth. They're having a good scrap side by side up front, but look at Dan, side by side with Sutty, looking to go up the inside. There's Jamie Brazy here as well in the background. Can he get a look in here? As Dan around the outside, Sutty back up the inside, and Jamie tries to follow Sutty through and get that inside line again. Here we go, 3 abreast coming down the straight. Jamie on the right, Dan in the left, Sutty in the middle, nowhere to go for Sutty Apex, and hopefully they all come through cleanly. They do, and Dan has got past the pair of them, but Jamie is still trying to fight this one. And who's that round? I believe it was an Orthodox. No, who was it? It was Craigie who's gone round. So it's ART from Carlin. And Sutty Apex P5 at the moment then. What a battle already early in this race. So Sutty Apex here already having a fantastic start to his evening. Already getting in the mix of the battles and wanting to be a part of this. He's going to have a lot of fun, I imagine. As they come down now, Sutty Apex looking on the back of an Orthodox. Don't forget, no DRS in this race due to the fact that it is raining. And Sutty Apex will want to get past on Orthodox. You bet your bottom dollar he will. He's side by side now, actually, with big boy Brazier in this one at the moment. Great start to this race. No red flag, says Rabbit Joe in the chat. There's not a red flag in this. 13 people could watch it. 8 thumbs up. Sutty looking on the back. As you look further forward, look, team orders maybe, because Dan has got himself ahead of Lucas Roth, and it's ART from Carlin. Smithy said in the fastest lap. Gary then beating that. As they come down, Smithy leads Gary by 1.3 seconds. Dan is 3 seconds behind Gary. He's got his teammate, then big boy Brazier, championship rival to his teammate in that. Sutty P6 on the back of Jamie. Fury and Rabbit Joe not far off the back as a team. PM Motorsport not having a great race so far. Then Craigie and Mazda must have had wing damage early on. Points for the top 8, don't forget. Look at this battle. That's big boy Brazier now starting to attack the back of Lucas Roth. 21 lap sprint race here. And really starting to get interesting as Lucas Roth now having to defend from big boy Brazier here. And he's really doing an absolutely cracking job. Sutty in the background. Oh, who's had a wiggle? I think that was Fury. Yes, it was. Jamie then in that slipstream of Lucas Roth. Is Lucas Roth going to defend from Jamie? Yes, he does. He's going to try and make him go the long way around. And Jamie fights that. Keeg squeezes him off. Jamie's going to have to yield that position. He definitely is now, because that was passing off the circuit. So Jamie's going to have to yield that one back to Lucas Roth, and does so. So gives that place back there. At the minute, the way the polls looking, the vote going the way of unorthodox in for this race win. Jamie looking right on the back now of Lucas Roth. He goes a long way around. He's gone very wide there, and that invites Sutty Apex up the inside, and there is a virtual safety car. And Sutty just got ahead of Jamie then. Now, I'm not sure why there is a VSC. So I'm not quite sure why there is a virtual safety car. Gary right on the back of his teammate. Dan losing out a bit. So has Lucas Roth, but Sutty has got past Jamie Brazier. There's Fury, there's Rabbit Joe, there's PM, there's Craigie. Everybody looks like they've got a front wing, so I don't know why there is a virtual safety car. But one man that will be pleased of this virtual safety car is Lucas Roth. He's had fuel problems in recent races, so he will be thrilled at the fact there is a virtual safety car. Mazda would have wanted a full safety car. So very strange to see here. Sutty, though, really mixing it with the championship rivals in this first race. But it is Team ART who lead 1-2. So it is A. Smith from Gary 131. Unorthodox from his teammate Lucas Roth. Sutty Apex. And then it's Big Boy Brazier, Fury, Rabbit Joe, PM Motorsport, Craigie, and then Mazda. As the VSC has now ended, and Gary 131, he's going to look up the inside of his teammate, and it might be wise to tell his teammate to sit back and let Gary through to get that gap between himself and Dan, and that is exactly what happens. Sutty and Big Boy Brazier having a battle. This is where Jamie tried to get Keegs, but couldn't do it. Sutty this time on the track, he looked like there compared to Jamie, and Jamie manages to take that place back from Sutty Apex then, and that is another move back up into P5 for Big Boy Brazier. Top 8 score points, let's not forget, but Smithy now has on Orthodox right on the back of him for second place, and Dan will be wanting to hunt down after Gary. Dan got the restart absolutely bang on, and he's on the back of the two ART cars here. Gap that's a bit closer is this one of Sooty Apex on the back of Big Boy Brazier. Mazda's only just coming through the chicane. He's going to hope to make some time up. Jamie looking on Keegs as well. And this the view on board Jamie's car. Look at the rain here. There's Sooty, there's Lucas Roth. Further forward, Dan having another little look, but on board Jamie Brazier, just trying to get the better traction out the corner. Where's Sooty Apex? Nowhere to be seen. You can also see Fury and Rabbit Joe in the background as well, gaining a bit of time. Now Dan looking up the inside of A. Smith, and that is job done. And into P2. Smithy looked a bit quicker coming on the exit of the corner. Dan maybe a bit more cautious. And through goes Unorthodox into second place. And he can now hunt down after his rival Gary 131, who separates them by 3 points in the championship. Back to Big Boy Brazier, who's now got Fury join this queue on the back of Sooty Apex. Mazda only 16 seconds off the back of Craig E. Rabbit Joe only a second off the back of Fury. He's there on the back of this pack, look. And this absolutely fantastic racing already here at Paul Ricard, and some of the drivers earlier were saying this is going to be a boring race. Well, I'll tell you what, the rain has made it interesting as Lucas Roth leaves Big Boy Brazier a car's width on the outside. Jamie tried this earlier, squeezes Keegs. Keegs is going to try and come back around the outside. Did he brake earlier to let him get a bit of a cutback? No, he didn't. And Jamie now is through on Lucas Roth, and that is P4. Now, the next man for Lucas Roth will be Sooty Apex on the back of him. Oh, Fury, that's a bit of a lunge there. Had to get out of it and avoid on the outside, so he's lost a lot of time. Rabbit Joe's lost time this lap as well as PM Motorsport's gained on him, and he's dropped off the back of this pack. Jamie dropping Lucas Roth here. Virtual safety car once again. And again, I'm not too sure why. And Plava in the chat, nice to see you back. Rain makes every race more exciting. Indeed it does, En. And En, I don't know if you can tell me why there is another virtual safety car, because everything looks fine. This will really help Lucas Roth out. Oh, he's missed the corner there. What's he done there? Sooty Apex nearly clatters the back of him. Evening to Welshie in the chat, and another VSC then. And for Lucas Roth, this will really help in terms of his fuel load. What is the fuel at the moment? We'll see in a moment when he stops turning the wheel. Plus 1.2. We know Lucas Roth has struggled in 3 races for his fuel load, and in these F2 cars you can't change the fuel that's on. VSC's ended, and look at Gary, he's pulled out a 2-second gap from Dan. A. Smith's 1.2 ahead. Big Boy Lucas Roth's lost out to Sooty Apex then, so Sooty's gained advantage of that VSC. Now Lucas Roth's going to look to come back at him. He's got Fury in the background. Sooty pulls out to defend. Lucas Roth's going to go around the outside. Fury sits and waits patiently, and Lucas Roth just taps the rear of Sooty Apex, but nothing comes of it. And Fury right in this mix. Looks like he's got a better run on Lucas Roth, and these could make it 3 wide on Sooty Apex, and Fury cuts through the middle of Sooty Apex and Lucas Roth and goes up the inside of Sooty. Is he going to make this one stick? No, he loses the car. Manages to hang on to it. That was a brilliant save from Fury. Did he just tap the rear of Sooty Apex there? Rabbit Joe's view. Fury though looking very racy. Yellow flag sector 3. That is Gary 131, who's had an off and has lost out to Dan and Jamie Brazier and his teammate A. Smith. Dan now, who's won the last 2 F1 races, now has a 2.7 second lead, and Gary's got to do it all again. Needs his teammate to help him out. Fury is in the pit lane. So did Fury sustain a bit of damage there? Here goes big boy Brazier up the end, around the outside of A. Smith. Is he going to make this one work? Going to be a ballsy move. I think he's done it on the brakes, and Smithy has to yield. Dan then will get the benefit. It will now have Jamie Brazier hunting him down. Fury, a change of wing. Craigie's had a bit of a moment. That's slow because he's coming out the final corner. Masters getting right up to him. Fury only just getting away. That has took a while then for Fury to get away. And Master is going to sail past him, you'd imagine. Comes off the limiter. Now, as Master does sail through, Dan 3.1 ahead of Jamie, who's got Gary 1.3 behind. Sooty now on the back of A. Smith, and what a fight this has been in this race. Absolutely a pleasure to watch. Can't help you with that, says Plover on the VSC. And evening to Mother Davis as well. 19 people watching the stream. Guys, girls, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Jamie gaining on unorthodox just a little bit, and you feel for A. Smith here. He is just going to get... and maybe even Lucas Roth in a moment. Quick right-hander. The wet. Let's look at the track conditions. Look at how greasy and wet it is. As Fury gets a 3-second time penalty, that might be for track limits. Mazda within 6 seconds of Craigie. He's got Fury 3.5 behind him. And Smithy runs a little wide, and here comes Sooty Apex then. So PN's now in the points in 8th place. And Smithy once again, look, just running out of road. And with 15 laps left in this race, or 14 laps left in this race, Sooty Apex has gone round. And that promotes Rabbit Joe, Lucas Roth, maybe PN Motorsport. No, he's not close enough. Rabbit Joe's had a wiggle out the hairpin. I'm just looking back to see what happened there. Sooty, did he tap Smithy then? Just look at the comment section, look back up, and round he was. He did, he got a bit of a tap from Smithy there. Yellow flag in sector 3. No, there's not, again, that's on the stream. Apologies, just looking at the comment section. Lucas Roth now really trying to gain on the back of A. Smith. Carlin versus IRT. They're going to want to outscore them. Sprint race, so smaller points in this sprint race, and they only go down to 8th place. Lucas Roth coming up the straight now. Dan's gap out front, 2.2 seconds. Jamie's also got 2.3 to Gary. So Jamie trying to catch Dan. And also dropping Gary in the process. Keegs within a second now of A. Smith. And this, the closest battle on track here. Lap 8 of 21. It's been a fantastic opener here. And look at how wet it is. Yellow flag sector 2. And that, I think, was Rabbit Joe rejoining. Yeah, so Rabbit Joe then has made a mistake. Drops to 8. Just dropped to 8th. Lucas Roth really gaining now on A. Smith. With Rabbit Joe within a second, bit of a wiggle there for Keegs. Mazda on a mission. No teammate tonight for Mazda, but he's on a mission to get to get in the points. Well, he's currently 18 seconds off the back of Rabbit Joe. Is currently trying to get within a second of Craigie. Rabbit Joe within half a second of PM Motorsport. What can he do? Made a mistake at the chicane, and Rabbit Joe's now going to try and make up for that. As Jamie setting the fastest lap, but hasn't really closed in on Dan much this time around. Here comes Rabbit Joe. On the back of PM Motorsport, Lucas Ross within 0.8 of a second of A. Smith, and Mazda once again within 0.6 of Craigie. Will drop down to Mazda as they've got the start line. Look at how close Mazda has got to the back of Craig now then. Out the final corner they come down to start their 9th lap of this race. And Mazda actually losing out a little bit in a straight line on the exit there to Craigie. Lucas Ross lost massively, and Rabbit Joe has as well, to PN Motorsport. So this, the closest battle on track. Where will Mazda think of getting it done? .3 of a second the gap, Mazda to Craig. Look how wet it is offline. Look how wet it is online. Mazda can't really come off the line to overtake Craig here. Craig's gone a little wider there, then Mazda's just going to patiently. In fact, Craig goes very wide now. Mazda, through the puddles he goes and gains an extra place. That is job done, and Fury will now hunt down Craigie. Rabbit Joe once again within half a second of PM Motorsport, and he's going to try and gain on him and try and get this place from PN. Three-tenths of a second now, the gap. Mazda, 19 seconds off the back of this battle. And this battle's for the last point scoring position in this race, let's not forget. Jamie's got the gap down to a second and a half. Rabbit Joe, PN went a little wide and Joe cut underneath on Rabbit Joe. Job done. PN's going to try and do the same now. No luck for him there. Jamie Brazier, once again, fastest lap, gap down to 1.6. And the points for the sprint race, don't forget, 10, 8, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2 and 1. So Dan, at the minute, will gain 4 points over Gary, which will put him in the championship lead. But not if Big Boy Brazier gets past. That, though, is job done if you're Rabbit Joe on PM Motorsport, who now has to sit and wait for Joe to make another mistake, unless he could gain on the back. Although Joe had a bit of a wiggle coming through the turn 2 there. Gone on the curb a little bit too much, and Rabbit Joe now under pressure from PM Motorsport. And PN now has a little moment himself, a little deep on the brakes. I've just looked at Dan's stream on my phone, and he's gone purple sector 1. So Dan is clearly trying to answer back to Jamie's. He's gained 2 tenths here. And Rabbit Joe has now left PM Motorsport in his dust. Lucas Roth about A. Smith at the minute, and he's not got to worry about fuel, I don't think. Should get to the end. Another virtual safety car will do Keegs, though, the world of good, just in case. That'll obviously be in the back of Keegs' mind, as Craigie now has Fury putting him under some pressure. And where will Fury look to make the move? Is he going to go up the inside at the chicane? Craigie hasn't defended it yet. Fury's coming closer. Doesn't think about launching up the inside of the chicane. No, chooses to just wait patiently. Now looks to the outside. Jamie has that gap down once again to 1.3 seconds. As Dan's coming through the final corner, Jamie is really starting to put it down under some pressure, and they are dropping Gary 131 as well here, as Jamie does another fastest lap of the race. So Jamie on a mission, Fury on a mission, though, to get past Craigie. Mazda's got the gap to PM Motorsport down to 16.2 seconds, and there goes Fury and gets Craigie done on the brakes round the outside. Fury up into P10, but this man, look how close he is to the back of Unorthodox. 2 tenths up on his best sector time as well there, as is Gary 131. Gary can barely see Dan, can barely see Jamie. Jamie, though, is getting a lot closer to Unorthodox. This is the closest battle on track at the minute, so Craigie is. But Craigie just dropping back a bit from Fury, a little more there. So then, Jamie, again, look, he's just taking chunks out of Dan's time under the brakes. Loses out the chicane. There's the gap up to 1.5 seconds. Jamie Brazier up on his best time once again. What about Gary? Well, it didn't tell us his sector time. Either way, Jamie has lost a bit more time to Dan somewhere. What a start to this race. Lap 11 of 21. We've got the feature race coming up a little shortly. It is a bit quiet in the chat tonight. So we'll see what will happen in the feature race, which is 30 laps around Paul Ricard. And here then comes Big Boy Brazier. 1.6 behind Unorthodox at the minute. Dan focusing, trying to work harder. Dan now sets the fastest lap of the race. Does Gary have an answer back for that one? He improves, but it's not his fastest. Smithy just had Keegs drop under a second to him there. Sooty Apex trying to come back on these two as well. And if Emplava's in the chat, and I don't know if you can go on Dan's stream and just find out if the weather's going to dry up for us, because we don't know here in the commentary box. But Dan will obviously have Jeff to tell them otherwise. Keegs then looking to get on the back of A. Smith and make a way through. Sooty within 1.7 of him now. So Sooty coming. These are 10. A. Smith's 10 seconds off the back of Gary. Gary just hasn't got an answer for Big Boy Brazier. And this will put Dan 2 points clear of Gary. I feel like Dan is losing time in Sector 2 and Sector 3 to Jamie, says Emplava. And I think you're right. There's a yellow flag, Sectors 1 and 2. And that is Rabbit Joe, who's had a moment. And right on the cusp of the points, this man, Mazda, will be even closer to Joe, who's now down in 8th. As I remember, Emplava says, wet all race. So it looks like it's going to stay wet for the duration then. And it doesn't look like it's brightening up, to be fair. I don't know, maybe just brightening up. With the two VSCs, this first race is just going to go on a little longer. As the poll will end at the end of lap 15 for who you think is going to get the race win. To get your votes in for that, also don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. As Jamie now has lost out and he's back down to 2 seconds behind Dan. So Dan started to put in some absolutely blistering laps. And Dan now puts in another fastest lap. And Big Boy Brazier cannot answer back to him at this stage in the race. Has he took too much out his tyres early on? Good evening to Peaceful Stepdad. Lucas Roth within a second of A. Smith. And Sooty within 1.1 of Lucas Roth. So a tough little place to be in. A. Smith, though, maybe some will pop out, but not enough for slicks as Emplava. But I don't mean the track will dry. So would anybody gamble it to try and take that fastest lap for an extra point? Sooty Apex will score points on his first outing here in the F2s. And I do believe there is nobody tonight, because I do apologise to Alti. I'll have to mention it on stream next week on Wednesday night. There is nobody making their 100th, because Smoky Devil would have been one away and would have made that on Thursday. There is nobody making their 100th race tonight. Then all their 150th, null their 50th. So everybody who's out there on track are doing what they're doing. Lucas Roth very deep, and Sooty Apex has missed the chicane completely. Lucas Roth 3-second penalty for corner cutting, and Sooty Apex just missed the chicane. He's been given a 5-second penalty for corner cutting. Well then, A. Smith has been given a lifeline, because not only is Lucas Roth now 1.5 behind him, but him and Sooty Apex have both now got penalties. So this is huge for that 4th place and for some extra points. Lucas Roth doing exactly what he didn't want to do. So maybe the sun will pop out, says Emplava. Now I know he's on Dan's stream, so he's giving us the information, what Jeff is giving Dan, and you can definitely see on board Sooty Apex that it does look to be brightening up. All the tyres going off here. What are the wet tyres doing? That's the biggest question. Are they starting to go off? Because Sooty and Keegs just did not stop. Sooty now within 7/10 of a second. Jamie Brazier out front has got nothing left in the tank. He's still pulling away from Gary, but he's losing time. Hand over fist to Unorthodox at the minute. So for Sooty Apex here, who just missed the chicane, he gave all the time back, still got a 5-second penalty. Fury as well with a 3-second time penalty to his name, but he's well in front of Craig. He has gained on Mazda though as Fury. But this, the closest battle on track, 7/10 of a second. Has Jamie just gone off? Is his tyres gone off, or is Jamie just waiting? PN 35% on the front and about 20% on the rear. So PN's tyres may be going off. So is everybody else having that same effect then? Thanks for Emplava for the information. Jumping from stream to stream is Emplava today. He's sort of our on-track reporter. And in the comment section, PN's tyres 35 and 20%. If Sutty and Keegs' tyres are that bad, well, that could be devastating news. Is that why Dan was not put, you know, is that why Jamie's now dropping off the back of Dan? Because his tyres may have just gone off. Sutty 7 6/10, 5/10 of a second now. As Dan pumps in yet again another fastest lap. So for an Orthodubs, his tyres must be absolutely singing at him, because he is pumping in fastest lap after fastest lap like Jamie Brazier was on a track that's not really drying up here because the rain is still falling. As Emplava, our man on a mission to find out other people's streams and find out their tyre situation. With Sutty 2/10 off the back of Lucas Roth. Lucas Roth now 2 seconds off of the back of A. Smith. Mazda within 2 seconds of a point here. Sutty looking for a move on Lucas Roth. Lucas Roth a little wide as they're coming down towards the back straight. But Sutty Apex kind of followed him a little bit there, so maybe didn't get the run that he wanted. And for Lucas Roth, he's going to defend from Sutty. He was all over the curbs there. Sutty going to send one up the inside. You bet your bottom dollar he is, but didn't make it stick. And now looks to go around the outside of Lucas Roth. Has made it stick. Sutty Apex P5. Now his job is to pull 2 seconds away. A quick check on Lucas Roth's fuel. It's down to 0.80. So that is still dropping, but should get him to the end of this race. So Lucas Roth now has to try and get back past Sutty Apex. Down to Mazda. 1.9 to Rabbit Joe. There he can see him. He can also see PN Motorsport. Really getting close to Rabbit Joe now is Mazda. Sutty needs to pull 2 seconds on Lucas Roth. Emplava Dan 30 front left, 26 rear left. So there his worst 2 tyres as Dan puts in another fastest lap of the race. The PM Motorsports tyres a bit worse on the front than Dan's, but Dan's a bit worse on the rear. Jamie though answers straight back with another fastest lap. So has Jamie just done a bit of tyre saving, I wonder, here then? One man who I think's got fresh softs on. In fact, we'll be able to see the lap of the tyres. There you go, look, Mazda a lap younger wets than Rabbit Joe, and Fury a lap younger wets than 5 lap younger wets than Mazda, as Lucas Roth gets himself another penalty then, and now he needs to be ahead of Sutty Apex by 2 seconds. PN's in the pits, so clearly his tyres have gone off. Mazda now in the points, and he's fighting for a few more. But for Lucas Roth, a 6-second time penalty, he's going to struggle. PN Motorsport then pits and has dropped himself out the points. And now we'll need to hope that big boy Brazy can get past Dan and score a few more. ART, the big winners in terms of the team game. Here comes Lucas Roth once again, though. Can he get it in the chicane? No, a huge win. And has had to avoid all these tyre markings and loses out to Sutty Apex, and didn't get penalised there as he went through the correct procedure, unlike Sutty Apex did then when he cut the chicane. Now Mazda within 0.7 of a second of this man Rabbit Joe. And Joe now then has a lot of work to do. So Keegs loses out to Sutty. He's now 2 seconds behind. Sutty needs 2.9 to catch on the back of A. Smith and then to clear him by 5 seconds. I think Smithy might have that job done. And here comes Mazda then on the back of Rabbit Joe. Let's just check Joe's fuel. 1.7. Lucas Roth 0.7. And once again, Lucas Roth, the only car that looks like it's running very close to its limit on fuel. And here comes Mazda trying to make his way past Rabbit Joe for what will now be 2 points, not just the one for 8th. You get the feeling Joe may hang on for a point in this race, but PN has rather threw one away. But if his tyres have gone off, there's not a lot you can do. Jamie Brazier now 3 seconds behind Dan. 2.8 the gap. So Jamie, he doesn't have an answer. He's took fastest lap back, but doesn't have an answer to unorthodox at the minute. Still though, gapping Gary 131. Mazda crosses the line and is right behind Rabbit Joe. The sky definitely getting a bit clearer and definitely getting a bit brighter, but it is still raining. For Dan, he's absolutely doing the job he needs to do. He's gapped Jamie Brazier now to 3.2 seconds, so unorthodox doing the job he needed to. The pole has now closed for the sprint race. And Mazda then will want just a couple more points here. Maybe get past Rabbit Joe. He's 20 seconds off the back of Lucas Roth. You don't feel that's going to be done for him. You feel that Lucas Roth at 0.7 has got enough fuel to get to the end. Mazda has Fury catching him now, though. As you see on the track map, the yellow dot of unorthodox just crosses the line now and sets another fastest lap of the race. So the extra point goes the way of unorthodox once again. Jamie can't answer back to it. Just thought for a minute there that the rain was stopping and it was getting a bit brighter. Mazda now within half a second. PN has the freshest tyre. Fury is just out that 1.5 second mark of Mazda. So getting even closer is Fury now to the back of Mazda, but needs to get past and needs to get 3 seconds clear, let's not forget. .21 people watching the stream. Guys, girls, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe if you are new to the channel, and hit the bell to be notified. We'll be back live on Wednesday for the penultimate rounds of the season from Oschersleben. Myself and Dan Davis will be live for Pro-Am, and Dan Davis and Jamie Brazier will be live on Thursday night for the Pro, 8 PM BST for that. Little each can wrap up the title. Smithy has Sutty 2.1 behind him. Lucas Roth has just lost out to Sutty Apex big time here, and he's possibly fuel saving a bit, knowing that he's got that time penalty. Joe has got Mazda and his teammate Fury gaining like mad, and Fury there all over the curb, even to Fury's mum. Very well, thank you yourself. Fury right on the back of Mazda, as Mazda's right on the back of Joe then. And if you're Mazda, you've got to sort of, do you fight Fury hard? Because Fury's got that time penalty and it is lap 18 of this race. Craig E just hasn't had his best night here. 16 seconds off the back of PN, and PN's pitted. Is Fury going to have a look on Mazda? No, he isn't. Mazda just not close enough to Rabbit Joe either. Fury a lot closer to Mazda. In fact, pulls out now, gets a better run out the chicane, pulls out, has a look up the inside of Mazda, and that is job done for Fury. Mazda straight back into the slipstream as Plava just looking at downstream saying rain getting lighter question mark. So then I thought that a minute ago but didn't want to say anything, and Plava asking it on downstream as Mazda tries to go up the inside of Fury. That door firmly shut. Radar showing a tiny bit of lighter rain. Fury slams the door shut on Mazda there. Mazda couldn't get through. Now Fury's looking up the inside of his teammate. This will be for an extra couple of points. Mazda's not going to score a point at the minute, although he might, because Fury has got that 3 second penalty. Fury would not want to come together with his teammate. And he's side by side. Has he just pushed Rabbit Joe a little wide? I'm not too sure. No, he's given Rabbit Joe a bad run out of a corner on the inside. And this could allow Mazda through. Fury, P7, has Joe and Mazda now behind them. Here comes Mazda. Is he going to look into turn 1? No, backs out of it. Late move. Up the inside. They make contact and are both through. So Mazda then up into P7, P8, P7 at the minute, and Rabbit Joe will be P8 because of Fury's penalty. Big boy Brazier out front, started to bring the gap down to Dan, but it's too little too late, you'd imagine, from there. And what a battle this is at the back of the track. Joe needs to stay within 3 seconds of Fury. Master needs to stay within 3 seconds of Fury. Fury, though, is on that younger tyre. Some 5 laps younger than Mazda's. And Craigie is in the pit lane. In fact, coming out of the pits. He's about to be lapped by Unorthodox, who pumps in another fastest lap. Jamie can't match it. What about Gary 131? No, nothing for him neither in this race. The rain has definitely slowed, and that is, I think, a very slow Craigie. Yes, as Gary 131 comes through to lap him, the rain has lifted very, very light. So the track here could dry up even more as Mazda once again on the back of Fury. Joe must have had a moment. This will put Fury in the points. Mazda just needs to stick with Fury. He doesn't even need to get past him even into Little Smith. To Big Smith in the chat, apologies. As I thought Fury there was going into the pit lane. Takes a very wide berth into that penultimate corner. Mazda right with him. Doesn't need to pass him, don't forget, for that 7th place. Just needs to be with him. Fury gets the better run out the corner. And Jamie bringing that gap down. Is Jamie pushing for a fastest lap? The rain slowing and easing will make this track dry. Keegs' fuel 0.6, so he will get to end. Just checking all the other drivers. Keegs is the only man whose fuel is right on the limit. Agron, hello mate, I am a new subscriber. Well, thank you for subscribing, Agron. Nice to see you here. Hope you're enjoying the Formula 2s at the moment. Mazda then right on the back of Fury now, and he's looking to pull out. On Fury, down the back straight. Fury's just got Mazda a little bit, enough to keep him under wraps here as Sutty Apex is making a move on A. Smith, so that gap has closed up, and Sutty through. Now needs to clear Smithy by 5 seconds here. Can he gap him by 5 seconds? That's the question. Mazda's lost out a second to Fury. Needs to stay within that 3 second marker. As Jamie, the gap between him and Dan has yet again increased. And Dan starts the final lap of this race. It could be 3 wins in a row for Unorthodox here. It could also be win number 39 for Unorthodox here, extending his gap to Fury. And with Jamie having a win, 2 wins, Gary having a win, I think Forsy's got the other one. Yes, he has. He's sadly not in this first race. Dan having 2. This will be his 3rd win of the season. Mazda within that 3 second mark of Fury, still 0.8 of a second. Sutty to A. Smith 1.2. The track, you can see, is definitely starting to dry up a little bit more. Lucas Roth, 3 second time penalty. Yellow flag in sector 3. That is Rabbit Joe's out of spin. It's not going to mean anything in terms of points, but Lucas Roth, another time penalty then. What is he up to now? 9 seconds. 17 to Fury and Mazda. So that's not going to matter to him. Mazda within half a second of Fury. Sutty's not going to clear A. Smith enough. But the rain has stopped. And this man has been unbeatable in the last 3 races. It's going to be race win number 39 here at Simplay Motorsport. It's going to be race win number 3 this season for Unorthodox. Just got to get this final corner right, and he does so. And for the Carlin team, it's a 3rd win in the row. And Dan will be absolutely over the moon with that one. Big boy Brazier, a fantastic 2nd place. And Gary 131 has to be delighted with P3. That is a great drive from him. Sutty Apex will lose out on P4 to A. Smith because he's not pulled the gap he needed. As Craigie has crossed the line in 11th place. Here comes Sutty then to finish 4th, but that'll be given to A. Smith, who will come home and take that Sutty 5-second penalty, obviously, as we know. That'll go the way of A. Smith. Lucas Roth will actually get to the end of the race and will score points for the team. So a great job for him, P6. Fury then down in 7th, but I feel he's going to lose out to Mazda. Here, Mazda makes a late lunge and has tapped Fury. Fury has a huge wiggle as well. Now, has Mazda lost out on that 7th place? He's not yet going. So Fury will get 7th. What late drama. Mazda P8 Rabbit Joe is going to cross for a P9, he'll hope. He does indeed. A PN Motorsport, a P10. So no points for them. We know on Orthodubs set the fastest lap of the race, but for Mazda there, a desperation dive, and it didn't pay off. But what a job for an Orthodubs in this first race. He gets the driver of the first race given by the game. And for an Orthodubs then, P1, here comes the podium celebrations. And the Carlin boys will celebrate another win in the hands of this man. 3 this season, and he is really staking his claim in this championship fight then. And for Dan, he's really stamping his authority and making Gary 131 and Jamie Brazier sweat for this one. Forsey drops to 16 points behind as Dan now leads the championship by 2 points, because he takes the fastest lap as well. Gary Slynn second, 2 behind, with Jamie third. The gap still 8 points, Jamie to the leader. Forsey in fourth, 16 behind. Fury on 29 points now with A. Smith up to 6th. PM Motorsport in 7th with Mazda 8th. Lucas Roth now tied with him. DJ Phil on 19 points in 10th. Rabbit Joe on 18 points. Craigie on 16 in 12th. Leon Fernie 5. Sutty up to 14th on 4. And then Bozzy Boy, Bryn, Smoky Devil and Shane. Univitrosi rated out. That's not right. That is not the right order at all there, so I do apologise for that one. We'll try and get the right order. Now, ART lead the way by a point from Carlin. 9 points clear of Prima. 18 to High Tech. Trident, then Univitrosi Racing. HWA Race like Campos Racing. Charuzo, I do believe it is, or I will double check on an MP Motorsport. Bringing up the rear. We'll be back in 2 moments' time.
Getting hype when I aim up, elevating that game up, stepping up to the competition. Only first place, and that's how I'm living. I'm winning till they digging up my grave, eating all the things up on my plate. Game face when I step up into place. I was born and when I watched me elevate. Watch me elevate. I was born to win, watch me elevate.
Welcome back then, ladies and gentlemen. And here we go with the formation lap here at Paul Ricard. Unorthodox will take us away on our green flag lap. We have under the Alpine colours, but don't worry, we'll still score points for his team. SMMN Studio, wonderful racing, he says. Thank you very much, buddy. Hope you're in for a fantastic feature race as well. Poll going up for who you think will win this one. I've done it wrong, I've already pressed answer, so we'll end that poll and get it back up. Gary disqualified and back to the grid he goes. Now then, if Enplover's watching the stream, is there any rain around? That's the big question. Can you let us know? So then, here we go. Mazda starts P3 in this race, let's not forget. Forsey in at 12th, he's down the back of the championship standings. These boys aren't racing here, are they? I do believe this is the warm-up lap because Dan... Yeah, it is the formation lap. Dan has just gone here. In fact, Dan, Big Boy, Mazda... No, they've all stayed. I don't know. Oh, they're racing out front. Racing out front. Sooty Apex and Lucas Roth are all racing out front. And Rabbit Joe as well. So they're all decided to go out front and have a go. As Lucas Roth is inside his teammate at the moment, and he's got Rabbit Joe inside him. Dry to rain to dry again, says Emplava in the chat. That sounds just like a Simplay Motorsport race, if you ask me. So Dan takes his 39th race win here at Simplay Motorsport. And is now on his way to becoming the first driver to get to 30 race wins. Remember before, when he's taken pole position, it's been a bad omen for him. He's now on 19 poles, 39 race wins. Any drivers making their 100 or 150th appearance now? No. Nobody making their 50th either. So then, rain a bit more to the second half of the race, says Emplava. The lights come on now, the revs rise. It's green and go here for the feature race here at the Paul Ricard circuit. Everybody on the soft tyre. A. Smith already getting ahead. PM Motorsport does not get away well. And Dan leads into turn one. Gary's jumped Mazda then in the background. Mazda down to fourth. And Gary trying to put the pressure on Big Boy Brazier and Dan early on. Look at these come through. Mazda from Sooty, Lucas Roth and Rabbit Joe. A. Smith has Fury Hassel in the back of him and can't get anything done there. Craigie from 40. He's got a lot of work to do in this race. And PM Motorsport P12, he's also got a job to do. Gary on the back of Big Boy Brazier early doors. Yellow flag. That is 40, I do believe, who's had a moment. Might have been Craigie. Either way, Dan from Jamie from Gary, Mazda, Sooty, Lucas Roth, Rabbit Joe, A. Smith, PM Motorsport. I think it's Fury actually who's dropped down the pack. Forzy, Craigie then. Lucas Roth has got himself ahead of Sooty Apex and absolutely sent one on him there, it looks like. And Sooty has to settle to sit behind him. Their battle resumes again. Cody in the chat. Let's go Fury, he says. As out front, they will not want Dan to get away at all. And Jamie looked a bit quicker than Dan through this, and now he's putting Dan under some immense pressure. And for Jamie then, he's got Gary looking underneath and nearly makes contact with the back of his car. So with the sounds of it, it's going to rain towards the midway point, second half of this race. And what are these drivers going to do? Gary again getting close to the back of Jamie Brazier. Sooty Apex is in the pits. Now, I don't think the team have a rear wing. Yeah, they do have a front wing for him. He has. He's missing an end plate then, so he's straight in to get that one done. And I don't think Sooty Apex realises how long a pit stop can take as the hard tyres go on. And Sooty Apex will now be feeling the frustration of an F2 pit stop. Fury has got himself ahead of PM Motorsport. Don't forget, top 10 score points in this one. So a chance to score big. So for Gary and Jamie, they're going to want to put the pressure on Orthodubs. Mazda might want to as well, as here comes Jamie Brazier on the back of Dan then, as they pull out the Thursday night commentary team, fighting first and second at the moment. And all good so far if you're Jamie Brazier then. Here they come. There's Dan, Jamie, Gary, Mazda. In the background, Lucas Roth and A. Smith and Rabbit Joe. What will Dan do then? Round the long right-hander, long corner. And that's where Jamie seemed to make a few mistakes. And if there is rain around, what do these drivers do? Sooty's now on the hard tyres. That'll go till the rain comes, you'd imagine. But what happens if these soft tyres go off? Do the drivers pit and then maybe have to pit again for the rain? That is going to be the interesting question. Rabbit Joe's got back past A. Smith. Is a yellow flag that? And rejoins just out of Craigie. Well out of harm's way. Now then, Gary on the back of Jamie. Jamie on the back of Dan. This is looking back from Dan's car. Gary, fastest lap of the race. As through turn 1 and turn 2 they go. Unorthodox has got the pressure off him a little bit here because Gary is hunting down Big Boy Brazier and really wants to make up for this early loss then. Gary right on the back. Look at him go. Flying at the minute is Gary 131. And up the inside of Jamie. And Jamie trying to fight it around the outside. And Gary and Jamie, we saw them battle well at Algarve. And Gary and Jamie still side by side, giving each other room, still side by side they go. They've just let Dan escape a little bit. I do believe they're still together side by side. And I think Gary now just has the edge over Jamie Brazier. No, he doesn't. Jamie pulls right in front, chops the nose of Gary 131 off. But great clean racing between these two boys. They've just let Dan get away though. Mazda sitting patiently in 4th. PN right on the back of Fury. Is PN going to have a look? He's also got Forsey and A. Smith behind him, look. But now here goes PN Motorsport. Trying to gain on Fury. Can't get it done. Sutty, 23 seconds off the back of the pack already. Gary needs to play this smart here. Needs to think about this one. Saying that, so does Jamie Brazier, because when they had that little squabble, Dan just got away a bit. You see the sun just peeking through here at the last corner. As DRS is now activated at the end of lap 3. As we start lap 4, Jamie and Gary have DRS. So we'll slowly pull away from Mazda and slowly reel Dan in. Big factor here. At the minute, Dan dominating the vote. 50%, 17% for Jamie Mazda and Gary apiece. And Jamie just outside that DRS detection zone then, which comes up at the end of these next 2 corners. So Jamie needs a good run here. Forsey has now got himself ahead of PN Motorsport. So is A. Smith. So PN I think's run a little wide. The sun has come out to play here. Gary's very wide there. And Jamie I don't think has DRS. No, he doesn't. Gary does. And Gary 131 then is going to gain on Big Boy Brazier. Is he going to pull out and have a look at the chicane? I don't think he got the run out to turn 4. Closes right up to the back of the chicane then, and on he goes once again. Jamie now needs a better last sector than what he's had to get back in that DRS detection zone of Dan. As Gary within half a second of Jamie is back within that detection zone of Dan. So doing exactly what he needs to do at the minute is Big Boy Brazier. We didn't see a single bit of DRS in race 1. Dan, Jamie, Gary, Mazda. Mazda just outside Gary's DRS. As Jamie, you know, they're coming up to the DRS zone. He's right in Dan's DRS zone. Dan seems to have a better sector 1 than Jamie, but seems to struggle sectors 2 and 3. And Amplova said that in the wet race of race 1, but that does seem to be the case in general here. Let's get ready for the flaps to open. There goes Jamie's, there goes Gary's. Mazda just outside it. And down the start straight they come. Jamie getting ever so close. Have a look here in the background. A. Smith half a second, 0.3 of a second off the back of Forsey then. He'll have DRS, as will PN Motorsport. Sutty now 19 seconds off the back of Craig E. And here comes here comes A. Smith. Round the outside of Forsey maybe at turn 1. And that is job done. Great move from Smithy. Now then, back straight. Jamie a lot closer to Dan this time. And Gary, nearly missing out on DRS, will just have it. But Jamie a lot closer to Dan. Gets the better run as well. The DRS now opens and Jamie can really come after him. Dan defends. Makes his one move, he can come back in the braking zone, but Jamie is going to have that move already done. Can he swoop it around the outside of an orthodox? You bet you he can. Gets it stopped and tucked in. Dan tries to tuck underneath, which will be the outside for the little left-hand kink. Dan looking for the better run. Jamie can't come across to defend him as Dan and Jamie now side by side. And is Dan going to yield any time coming into this corner? Flat scat they go. Side by side they go, and Dan has to get out of it before causing the collision with Jamie. But what racing from the front three here. They did it at Algarve. They're doing it again here. Absolutely fantastic. Dan has a huge wiggle there. What a battle this is from these boys. So Jamie leads from Dan. He's now got Gary right on the back of him. So to apex, 16 seconds to Craigie. Forsey's trying to come back at Smithy then. We'll just jump to that. Look, there it is. We'll go back to Gary though, because he's going to have DRS on Dan. And it's within half a second of Dan. Dan got the better exit out the corner, but Dan as well has DRS on Gary 131. And Dan is really pulling Jamie in on this straight compared to what Gary's pulling Dan in. But Dan could do nothing about Big Boy Brazier. And has to be patient here. As Lucas Roth, 3-second time penalty that will be for corner cutting as Forsey then is side by side with A. Smith and still side by side, and Smithy just pushes him wide a little bit but cannot get the place done. Can Forsey as they come down third at DRS detection zone. I think Forsey's done it. We'll just go back to Dan a second though, and Gary. Forsey ahead of A. Smith, but that'll give A. Smith DRS coming up this back straight. Dan. Jamie got done to him, now down to Forsey. PN Motorsport in this battle as well. Here comes A. Smith. Can he get the DRS on Forsey and get closer? He's getting closer, but he's ran out of road. Sutty's got the gap down 14 seconds to him and Craigie now. Up front, Gary runs a little wide in the background, but Dan within 3 seconds, he's right up the gearbox of Big Boy Brazier. These are dropping master because of their DRS. Dan here is an absolute man on a mission. Gary within 4/10 of Dan. Dan within 4/10 of Big Boy Brazier. Dan has a little wiggle and Gary sticks the nose up the inside. Fails to know, they make sure they don't make contact. But Gary now right up the back of Dan. But Gary a bit slower in a straight line than Dan, it would seem. And Dan just pulls away from Gary because Dan has the DRS as well. But Gary under the corners, look, he's much quicker than Gary, much braver around the corners than Dan, much quicker. And Gary has to sit and wait patiently. But these three, the championship three, really putting on a great show. Lucas Roth and Rabbit Joe having had a bit of a battle. Smithy as well with Forsey. PM Motorsport's dropped off. Sutty now's got the gap down to 12 seconds. Gary and Dan different lines coming through the right left section. Now 0.2 of a second Dan to Jamie. Jamie's gone defensive. He's got to stay there now. He can come back across before the braking zone, but I've got a feeling Dan's going to have that one done. Jamie though going to try and brave it and manages to stay ahead, and that's put Gary right on the back of Unorthodox. So Jamie there stays ahead. Gary now right in this mix as well. On board Gary 131 then. Oh, nearly into the back of the Dan. He's done well not to put that in the back of Dan there. Trying to tuck underneath is Gary, and Gary and Dan have had some epic battles. In fact, so is Jamie over the seasons. Dan up on the curb, and that has compromised his running. He can't come across anymore. I think there was a little contact there from Gary and Dan. And does that mean Gary's got the job done on Unorthodox? He has. So P2 at the minute for Gary 131. What a drive this is from these boys. Dan and Gary with DRS on Big Boy Brazier. Dan though quicker in a straight line. Forsey's now got himself out of Fury. So as Fury made a mistake somewhere, Dan pulls out to go up the inside of Gary 131. And is Gary going to hold it round the outside? He's going to try, you know, Unorthodox 3-second time penalty for track limits. So he's been penalised. And Dan, that could be catastrophic in this race. It's supposed to be reaching 31 degrees tomorrow in certain areas, apparently. Come on, Dan, Peaceful Stepdad says. It's meant to be 38 down in Mansfield, where I live, buddy. So an absolute scorcher. It's meant to be 40 degrees on Tuesday. Fury and Forsey, their battle continues with A. Smith. back down this pack, but we cannot take our eyes off of this battle. They've allowed Jamie Brazier to escape. Gary's got no DRS. Dan pulls out on Gary now, has a look, can't get the job done still. Gary is frustrating our new championship leader, and Gary 131 doing what he needs to do, but Dan gets the run out of the chicane now, and Dan ahead of Gary 131. P2 secured for the time being, because Gary is a wily old fox and will come right back. Still holding off from A. Smith while he's attacking the back of Fury. Look at Fury, he's got a train of cars. Forsey, A. Smith and PM Motorsport. Sutty has managed to get his gap down to Rabbit Joe and Lucas Roth having an epic battle here as well. Just checking Lucas Roth's fuel. Says he's only got 0.7 in the tank again, so he may have to lift and coast. That might be why he's taking it a bit easy. Gary back ahead of Dan, and that must have been in this last sector. Did Dan play it wise? He did, because he's gave himself DRS. Forsey has got himself rid of Fury. Will Fury come back at him? Dan's not close enough to get to Gary. Fury looking up the inside of Forsey, and will get DRS over Forsey, as will A. Smith, as will PM Motorsport. A. Smith just looking up the inside of Fury there, who ran a little wide. And now DRS opens for Fury. A. Smith and PM down the start straight they come. Forsey defends the inside. Fury's going to look around the outside. In fact, Fury's got Forsey done before the braking zone. Forsey tries to brake late and keep himself there. He has done, as my fans just fell off the bench. Fury, though, back ahead of A. Smith, ahead of Forsey. A. Smith in the background. Forsey trying to look back underneath Fury. Can't get it done. And still, if you're Forsey there, you have to settle for PA Smithy right on the back of this pair as well. In fact, he's now having a look at Forsey, who comes back at Fury, who got a big wiggle in the mid-corner, and I think Forsey will have his DRS open. No, it did go the way of Fury. So did Fury play that tactically? Here comes A. Smith though as well. Fury has to go to the inside on Forsey, and has he done a good enough job? A. Smith has to sit and wait, and PN's getting right in this. Smithy looking to the outside, Forsey trying to keep it up the inside. What a battle all the way around this track. There is a fantastic battle all around here, and Forsey and Fury still battling with A. Smith there as well. PM Motorsport's coming with them, and Forsey back up the inside. Dan's within 2/10 of Gary, so we'll go back to that one in a moment. But what a titanic battle between these four here. As Lucas Roth, another 3-second time penalty then. P5, he's now got 6 seconds to his name. Well, we'll still only lose out to Rabbit Joe though, because while ever these are battling, Rabbit Joe may lose out. N Plava, if you're in the chat, let's do a tyre check from everybody and see what the tyre situation's like. So I imagine Sutty's going to be on fantastic tyres, but these soft runners are going to start to feel the pain on them as Fury to the outside of Forsey once again. Smithy waiting in the background and having a look, and Forsey manages to hang it. Fury though, he is round. Did they make contact? Craigie's in. You see that front left taking a bit of a battering. Fury though has span. So PN and Smithy gain an extra place. Smithy now has to attack Forsey in this DRS zone. And Dan, somewhere, has got back ahead of Gary 131. Gary within 1/10 of him, but we will just stay with A. Smith for the minute, Gary's teammate. Here comes Gary, PN 50 and 40. So PN's tyres knackered. What about Dan's tyres then? That might be why Craigie's pitted here, to get them tyres off. Oh, PN 50 and 40 on the front and 35 and 30 on the rear. So PN's front getting a bit worn. Smithy ahead of Forsey and stays ahead of Forsey. Now then. Oh, right. Okay, Gary's boxed. Gary in the pits. Big boy Brazier and Dan will continue, as will Mazda. Lucas Roth, who in the tank has got 0.5. He's not going to pit. Neither is Rabbit Joe. So everybody carrying on their way. But Gary in for the Hordes. He's out as well. Where is Lucas Roth? Coming down the start straight. There's Lucas Roth and Rabbit Joe. You're here going past now. Gary off the limiter, loses 3 places. Smithy hasn't pitted. Look at Forsey though with DRS. Fury's in the pits, may have scrubbed them up after that spin, and Forsey up the inside gets past A. Smith, and this battle, you get a feeling, is going long into the night here. As what a drive from all these drivers. 22 people watching the stream. Let's get this stream to 20 likes if we can. Sutty has jumped Fury and Craigie, so pitting early for them hards might have been the right call. Gary 4 seconds out of Forsey, 4 seconds behind Rabbit Joe, but you have to feel that these softs are crying out now. Has Mazda been tyre saving? Dan 59 on front left. Wow, that's ready for a pit stop. These fronts are not lasting. We'll just stay with Smithy a second and PN. No overtakes there. Jamie then to the pit lane he comes. Bloody heat, not looking forward for tomorrow, says Mother Davis. No, indeed not. As Jamie in, Dan stays out. So Dan's going to gamble this. Mazda also stays out. What about Lucas Roth and Rabbit Joe? The front left on Lucas Roth looks horrendous. As well as him trying to save fuel here, Big Boy Brazier has pitted. Lucas Roth will carry on his way. Rabbit Joe will as well. And Gary coming to the last corner. Big Boy Brazier off. I tell you what, Jamie has absolutely nailed his in-lap because he's off the limiter now. And Gary's only just coming down the start straight. That might be right, actually. Forsey and PN in. A. Smith carries on. Rain 10 to 15 minutes, says Jeff. Joseph in the chat. Let's go Fury. So 10 to 15 minutes, we expect a bit of rain. Could provide a bit of mayhem here. Gamble for Dan and Mazda maybe. Maybe also Lucas Roth and Smithy. Sutty though now, look at his tactic. PN has jumped Forsey in the pits by some margin. Sutty pitting early without wing damage is up to 8th. Yes, he's 26 seconds off the back of Gary. Gary though is within about a second and a half for Jamie. Actually gained on Jamie a little bit. Gary behind Rabbit Joe, who's got the better tyre. Joe trying to attack Lucas Roth and Gary right around the outside. Thank you, Mama, for the carrots, he says. And you know what? I might just have Lucas Roth as well on the exit as Basti Games. Let's go Fury in the chat. Now on Orthodubs, does he box or does he stay out? This is a gamble. He's going to come in. He's got that 3-second penalty, which we'll not get rid of. Mazda is going to stay out. He must be tyre saving like mad. Rabbit Joe now gets past Lucas Roth. So then, Gary. Has he pulled a blinder on his strategy? Dan in, up, tyres. He's gone soft again. This is an interesting strategy for an Orthodubs. He's gone soft tyre. Rabbit Joe in the pits. Mazda 3-second time penalty for track limits. Here comes Big Boy Brazier and Gary 131. Dan just off the limiter. Gary jumps in, but Dan is on soft tyres. What an interesting strategy call. Now, if the rain does come, it has to rain hard enough, otherwise Dan has got to re-pit. A. Smith in the pits, as is Lucas Roth. Rabbit Joe as well has gone soft tyre. So a gamble from the front two. Sutty Apex could be P5, won't be P5, but he's P6 nonetheless. Sutty Apex flying at the minute. PN jumps A. Smith. Now A. Smith gets PN back. PN slow through turn 1. So what a strategy in this race. Dan, a 10th off the back of Gary, now looks to pull out up the inside of Gary, but we know the soft tyre is good enough for 12 laps. Maximum. So we know that Dan's got to clear Gary and Jamie and get away. Because if the rain doesn't come as hard as Dan expected, it might not be the right strategy. Sutty's got past Rabbit Joe. Gary will have DRS on Orthodubs. And Plover, weather situation. Because I know Mazda doesn't stream. Mazda, though, has carried on it. Here. Gary, half a second behind Dan, and with that DRS, just closes in ever so slightly. Gary's tyres 3-lap old compared to Dan's, who's done a lap now on his soft. Lucas Roth, another 3-second penalty. That man could do with maybe full safety car. Gary now 8 tenths behind Dan. Dan just having the traction out the corner. And Dan's being able to pull that gap. That gap 9 tenths. But Gary, I think, got through the detection zone before it went to a second. So does he get DRS? The answer is no, he didn't. Rabbit Joe should, you'd imagine, be quicker than Fury. Quicker than Sutty at the minute, but Sutty's tyres are 12 laps old. Yellow flag, sector 3. That is a Craigie that has gone round, I do believe. Yes, it is. As Mazda's nearly lapping Craigie. Will he pit this lap? He's on a charge, he's Mazda. And he's not. He's going to stay out, Mazda, then. So gambling his tyres at the minute is Mazda, then. As Unorthodox gaining on Big Boy Brazier, pulling away from Gary. Rabbit Joe within half a second of Sutty. Sutty on 12-lap old hards. Rabbit Joe on 1-lap old soft tyres. 15 minutes the range should be. I think Dan may have just lost this race. 3-second penalty he's got. Dan, fastest lap of the race. I don't think the rain's going to come in time and wet the track enough in time for Dan to... And in 15 minutes, Dan will be pitting again for a set of hards. I think Dan and Joe's strategy has gone out the window. I think Mazda's strategy could be a fantastic one. Jamie's only gained a second over. Here's Fury on the back of PN. 4 tenths of a second. Will have DRS coming down the start-finish straight, look. So here goes Fury, 8 tenths of a second. That gap opens up to Forsey, who got jumped by Smithy, PN and Fury in the pits. He's in the background. Fury doesn't get any closer. Dan, though, now. Rabbit Joe trying to stick with Fury, with Sutty. Dan, within that time frame of Big Boy Brazier, he's going to be in for the DRS at the start-finish straight. Jamie's only pulled off a second on Mazda this lap. So he's gaining on Maz, but just not a lot. I think Mazda was hoping for that rain to come, and it hasn't. He's going to stay out again. And Mazda's tactic here, will it work? Has Gary just had a spin in the background? He has. I heard a car go slow, and it was Gary 131. That's not going to help him. Dan leading this championship at the minute. Could have just pulled a bit more in front of Gary, but Dan's got to put the other tyre on, let's not forget. Fastest lap of the race. DRS wide open for Dan. And he didn't get past Jamie Brazier. Gary now 7 seconds off the back of these two. So Gary's tyre strategy was working for him, but has had that moment and has now lost a lot of time to them cars in front. Dan looking left and right on the back of Big Boy Brazier's car and really wants to put Jamie under some immense pressure. He'll have DRS down this straight, and you imagine we'll just sail past Jamie. Jamie's already pulled to the defensive line. He's not even going to defend Dan there, because he knows Dan with DRS is just going to pull out in front. Jamie tucks back in that slipstream. Rain, 10-minute warning from Jeff. The question is that enough? 10 or 15 minutes from Jeff and Plava saying in the chat. Is that enough then? Halfway through this race, Dan and Joe have to use the hard tyres. Dan also has a time penalty to his name, 3 seconds. as Dan here is gapping Jamie. Jamie might just get DRS from him as Fury's got past PM Motorsport in the background. Or a bit further down the order, should I say. Jamie will have DRS, but it's not enough. Fury gets past Big Boy Brazy and Rabbit Josel on the back of Sooty Apex. Can't seem to get past him. Dan did 11 laps on his soft tyres. Mazda's done 16. Forzy's got past PN, so his PN had a moment. No, he's just not at the pace at the minute. Forzy coming through the pike and into the points. Joe on the back of Sooty Apex with DRS here. Now Dan's tyres did 11 laps. They've done 4 already. And if that rain is 10 or 15 minutes away, I think Dan has got to extend this stint. I think he has to extend this stint. He's got to go for it. Currently outscoring Gary once again and will lead this championship. With Jamie gaining some points over Gary as well, so making that maybe a bit tighter. Forzy not having his best races, but is under the weather today, so we hope to see him at his best next week at Shanghai, the Chinese Grand Prix. We've not seen it on the calendar since COVID. And we are really pushing it. Now Mazda pits. So clearly his tyres have hit the limit. Dan and Jamie, you'd imagine, would get past him. The hard tyre for Mazda. I think them tyres, by the way, look at them coming off. They look awful. I think that strategy for Mazda is here comes Dan and Jamie. Gary, only just at the final corner. Mazda could be racing Gary. I think Mazda's pulled a blinder here. He's gone as long as he can. The rain hasn't come. Gary gets past Mazda. Mazda off the limit. Mazda close to Gary after Gary's spin. So Mazda P4. I think Mazda here has played a blinder. He's got fresh hards to the end. And when we get to the end of this race, we know what the F2s are like. They start to eat their tyres up. There's 40 on the back of Fury here then. Into the final couple of corners, Forzy comes now. He will look for the DRS. It is going a bit overcast and cloudy here though. So for an Orthodubs, he's got to make sure he pulls the gap. 2 seconds the gap to Jamie, and Dan is already through half of his tyre life. And Plava, let's get a tyre update from Dan and PN on very similar lap tyres. PN on 7 lap old hards, Dan on 5 lap old softs. Let's see the difference in their tyres. As Fury has a bit of a slide there, and Forzy in the background. That's I think that was Lucas Roth and A. Smith up front. It is A. Smith actually gaining on Lucas Roth. So rain 10 to 15 minutes away. That was, I can't remember how long ago now. But Smithy, 0.6 of a second off the back of Lucas Roth. Forzy, if I let's check Lucas Roth's fuel. 0.2 in the tank, I believe. PN 10 and 20 on his tyres, so not too bad for PN. What about Dan? Because he's on 2 lap fresher softs. Mazda's golden until the end, you'd imagine here. 2 seconds off the back of Gary. Watch for Jamie's time to start to tumble down on unorthodox. That's when you know Dan's tyres are done. And Dan wants to pull as big a gap as he can to maybe pit. Smithy very wide at the final corner. Fury has a huge wiggle final corner, so Smithy loses momentum on Lucas Roth. And for Forzy here, he could just gain a bit more time and get closer to the back of Fury as they come down the start straight. Dan still gapping Jamie. And Forzy having a look to the outside. Tucks back in, can't get it done. Nice and easy from him there. Knows he'll have DRS and knows he's got a quicker car underneath him at the next section of track. Dan 2 point out ahead of clear of Jamie. Lap 6. His tyres are on now. 6 lap old soft tyres. Coming to the end, actually, it'll be 7 lap old soft tyres in a minute. As PN's on 7 lap old hards. So the difference again is very dramatic. As Forsey, right round the outside of Fury, runs a little wide, keeps it within the track limits. Fury trying to have a run on him out the hairpit, out the chicane. Forsey, if he can keep it there, will have the inside line on the next corner. And he's managing to keep it there for the time being. Fury can't turn in because there's a Forsey up his inside. And as they come through the corner side by side, Forsey gives him plenty of room and gets that job done. Now Dan extends his gap a little more. A. Smith 2 tenths off the back of Lucas Roth. 7 lap old softs. Mazda got them 16 laps. But the rain's still nowhere in sight. It's still pretty bright here. Evening to Bozzy Boy. Shame he couldn't get in for his race tonight. I'm sure he'd love to have scored some more points. Dan looking to make it 4 wins in a row. Smithy just a little wide on that final corner again. Seems to be struggling there. Does seem to be becoming a bit thicker a cloud, but Dan still pulling a gap from Big Boy Brazier. So the hard tyre not working for Jamie at the minute. It is though for Mazda, who's gaining on Gary 131. 27.35 on Dan's. So they're coming to a stage where Dan is going to start to feel a bit of grip loss on his tyres. I'd love to know which is his worst tyre. Let's go on board Big Boy Brazier. There's Jamie's tyres. Look, his front right looks a little worse than front left. And there's Dan. Coming up to lap the back of Craigie. Did he get DRS there from Craig? No. No blue flags waving yet for Craigie either. I prefer my single point I have, he says in the chat. Dan then, 8 lap old softs. He got to lap 11 on these soft tyres last time, let's not forget. A. Smith needs a good run this time in this final sector to make sure he can... Front left is his worst tyre on Dan's car. Craigie moves out to Dan's way. Now, question. We'll just stay with Forsey actually a minute. Really coming overcast now. So then, has Dan played a blinder? Has it started to work out for Dan? Jamie gaining on him though. Are Dan's tyres just starting to lose that bit of grip? The question Dan needs to know is 9 laps left in this race. It's got to rain hard enough for Dan to pit for the Minters. I think Dan could be struggling here. Jamie 4.2, slowly gaining on Dan. As I say that, it's actually gone up to 4.3. So Dan's tyres at the minute, fine. The dark clouds come over now. As Fury, wow, where did that come from? Well, he's missed the corner by a mile. Forsey's just hit the back of him. But Fury sent it from nowhere, raining. Warning for rain in a few minutes, says PN Motorsport. It says Amplava, sorry. But how long's a few minutes? Because Dan will want it to rain hard so that the track will get wet. Forsey and Fury banging wheels here. Forsey will have DRS over Fury. Going great guns at the minute, all these two. Forsey with DRS should go right around the outside of Fury. Yes, he does. So Dan pitted end of lap 11 with tyres that was old and ruined. He's now done 9 laps. It is going very dark here at Paul Ricard. And on Orthodubs then, 9th place, 9 lap old tyres, first place, 3-second penalty. So Jamie needs to find 1.7 at the minute. And Plava in Dan's chat, if it pops, it pops. So that tyre must be on the limit. Must be on the limit. Was that rain? No, I think that was just the audience in the grandstand clapping, because there is no rain around. Back down to A. Smith, 3 tenths off the back of Lucas Roth. Fury as well with Forsey. Go to exit from the final corner is where Smithy has struggled today. That's better from him. but he's not going to be close enough to Lucas Roth to get that job done. One man who might be is this man, Fury. Let's see if he sends one again into turn 1. Gets close enough, but doesn't make the move. Jamie still 4.8 off of Dan. Jamie has just got nothing in response to Danny, although it's slowly dipped under 4.8 there. And Fury still looking for that move on Forsey. As the rain, was that a spot or two? I believe it is a spot or two of rain. The question is how heavy, for how long, and how dry, how wet will the track get in this race? Lap 22 of 30. Started lap 23 of 30. Fury now with DRS passes Forsey and manages to hold on to that one. So then, first drops of rain. Dan, who's in the pits? Gary. That has to be for wet tyres. Yes, it is. Is that the right call from Gary 131? He's only lost out to Mazda. Away he goes now. Craig as well pits. It's nowhere near wet enough yet for that. Well, Rabbit Joe, very wide. You'd say that Rabbit Joe's got it wet enough for that, as he comes in as well. It is not wet enough, as Fury and Forsey still battling it out for the wet tyre. But Gary risking that loss of one place for the wet tyre, because if it does get wet and people start to spin, that could be game over. A. Smith has pitted as well. As Forsey there. Lots of traction out the final corner. Fury loses out to Forsey. Rabbit Joe's lost out to Fury and Forsey and PN. So has A. Smith, as they've both pitted. So the question now is where's Gary first of all? He's coming up to the chicane now. Is Dan going to box this lap? I don't think it's wet enough. No, he stays out. Now this is going to be interesting in terms of them tyres of Dan's, because let's not forget, less grip is going to be a nightmare for him. Master's surely going to stay out. He is, yes, as did Big Boy Brazy. So Gary on them wet tyres. Sooty, 21 lap old softs. Can see Gary just in front of him, look. Dan's tyres, though, must be absolutely crying to him. Right then. If it doesn't rain that hard though here, Sooty's got past Gary then. Gary gets back out of Sooty. Sooty will have DRS. DRS isn't off yet. I think Gary's lost out here. I think Sooty could be on for a P4. Dan though, his tyres must be absolutely screaming at him. Have to be screaming at him. Sooty's got past Gary. It isn't wet enough. Dan has to use the hard tyre. Jamie isn't really making inroads on Dan either. Dan with a 3-second penalty, let's not forget. But if it's only a shower and only hangs around for a little bit, Dan still has to put another tyre on. He surely has to box this lap. Now the track starts to look greasy. Now the track starts to look like it's getting wet. As Dan is going to box, and in he comes. Big Boy Brazier is gambling this, and this is a big gamble. What about this man? Has to do something. The strategy for Dan could have worked here. The wets are going on. Gary though is losing time to Sooty Apex. Dan might get out ahead of Mazda. Let's see. It is really starting to rain now. Mazda flies past. Dan down in third with a 3-second penalty, let's not forget. Gary can't catch the back of Sooty at the moment. He's 2.5 behind. Dan is 5 seconds behind Mazda. 25 laps out of 30 completed. Dan may pull points over Gary in this championship, but may lose out to big boy Brazier here. Dan has fastest lap as well at the moment. Gary's still losing time to Mazda. Dan is now 6 seconds behind Mazda. I think it's too dry. I don't think this has worked for unorthodox. And Plava, what's the situation? Because it does look wet. And I know you're jumping from PN to Dan to this. What is the situation? Because Dan's tyres aren't really giving him the upper hand at the moment. Dan has lost half a second through the chicane. 0.2 of a second through the chicane. What does Jamie do here? Right, Fury 0.6 off the back of Forsey. Even Forsey hasn't pitted. I haven't seen DRS disabled neither. So let's see if Fury gets DRS down here. It is starting to get wet. But the question is, how wet will it get? Will it start to dry up? Was wet, dry to wet to dry, it said. Gary's still 3.2 behind. Dan's not making the inroads on Mazda he needed to here. Jamie stays out. I think Jamie Brazier has just won this race, you know. Mazda is boxing. So Mazda's strategy out the window. DRS didn't open for Fury there, so DRS definitely short. DRS now disabled looks, and now they clearly think it's wet enough to disable the DRS. So Fury has to do this on pure pace. I don't think it's wet enough for Dan to gain 21 seconds, but has to gain an extra 3. Fury looking up the inside of Forsey. No can do there. Where is Sooty Apex? He's still got 2.6 seconds to Gary. To Forsey. Rain's supposed to go away in 10 minutes, says Amplava. Sooty's in. So clearly getting too wet. Sooty is in. Jamie now surely has to commit to this. Gary passes Sooty but has lost out to Mazda. Forsey and Fury side by side still. Sooty's gone softs! Fury and Forsey both stay out on track. Sooty has gone soft tyre. PN's in. Sooty has put the soft slick on. He's lost out to Lucas Roth. The track getting wet. There is Sooty just ahead of these two on the hards. Sooty Apex is on the soft tyre. PN leaves for the wets. Fury up, no, down to 8th. He's had a spin, he's had a huge moment. His teammate way behind. Jamie 18 seconds to Dan. Dan will have the upper hand on this tyre now. It's starting to get wetter. Mazda's only a second behind Dan at the minute. It's a shame Mazda's got that penalty. No, he's 19 seconds behind Dan, sorry. We're not on the leader. Sooty, soft tyres. Let's see if that's working for him. Who's that up front? That's Lucas Roth and Gary here. Lucas Roth. No, that's Lucas Roth and Craig E, sorry. Craig E a lap down. Sooty on his softs, you know. Not struggling too bad. Jamie, 17 seconds to Dan. I think Jamie's tactic has worked over Dan's. And I think Jamie is going to score big here over Dan. 25 to 18 points. I think Dan will get the point for fastest lap, put him on 19. So Jamie might have it 2 points difference. Gary's the biggest loser at Paul Ricard tonight. Losing massive points, as is Forsey. Sooty closing in on Keegs. Dan is effectively 18 seconds behind big boy Brazier. And he's just not gaining quick enough. Nobody really close to anyone now. Forsey's had to pit, so Sooty gains an extra place. You imagine that's for the wet tyre for Forsey? Yes, it is. So where's Fury? Fury's in as well. So Rabbit Joe will gain 2 places. You imagine PN might. Forsey away. Joe gets past the pair of them. PN coming down the start straight now. Might not get Forsey, but will definitely get Fury. There is PN. And he will get Forsey, you know, up to speed. Sails past, literally, in this wet weather. Smithy gets past Fury as well and is now on the back of Fury. Jamie has pitted. Will regain the lead of this race. And Jamie's tactic has not worked at all. Wet's on. Dan's coming out of the last corner. Jamie's away. And Jamie's strategy has not worked. Where's Mazda then? Coming to the last corner. Jamie off the limiter. 9 seconds to Dan, 11 seconds to Dan. Jamie's strategy has not worked here at all. He had to commit till the end. He had to commit. And is now 13 seconds behind on Orthodubs. And Dan only needs to be 10 seconds ahead of him. Sorry, only needs to be 3 seconds ahead of him to win this race. It's going to take something huge for Dan to lose this one. Lucas Roth in the wet, struggling like mad, but has got fuel in the car. Sooty Apex gaining on him then. And Sooty sails past Lucas Roth. Look, P5 for Sooty Apex, and Keegs committing to this strategy, even though it might not be working. Sooty Apex, bit of a slide there as the sun starting to come back out. Jamie starts to dry. Jamie Brazier could be eating his own words and could be kicking himself here. Smithy 3/10 behind Forsey. Lucas Roth has got back ahead of Sooty Apex here then. Not sure where on track. They are down. Or they are up at, sorry. Turn. Dan's got another 3-second time penalty. Sooty now has a time penalty. So what's Dan on? 6 seconds. Joe has got past the pair of Sooty and Lucas Roth. Or nearly has. In fact, no, he has, sorry. I was on Lucas Roth here. Places. Sooty's lost 2 places. Dan, 6-second time penalty. 2 laps. Big boy Brazier here could... Well, he needs to get down 6 seconds at the minute. If he can get it down to 9 seconds and Dan gets one more, that'll be Dan in trouble. Sooty Apex on the back of Lucas Roth there, side by side look. In the background, PN and Forsey. Lucas Roth's got a 14-second penalty here, so he might drop out the points. And there's the tyres. PN, Forsey, A. Smith, Fury, all within touching distance and could all probably get past Lucas. Now gets past him, so Lucas Roth tried it and it hasn't worked. I think he could have for Jamie. Lucas Roth's now got past him. PN's just driven around the outside of Sooty. I think Jamie should have stuck to this to the end. Forsey as well is going to get past Sooty Apex, so Sooty's now down to 8th. Lucas Roth has 10 seconds to Fury. Both of them had time penalties. Sooty's got 10 seconds to Fury. As Lucas Roth will just be happy to finish 2 races, I imagine. Forsey 3 attempts off the back of PN Motorsport then. Late in this race, Cody in the chat, and Forsey now looking on the back of PN. Lucas Roth again, another 3-second time penalty. Racking them up here is Lucas Roth. Trying to hang on to that last point. I don't think he's going to, because Fury's just took chunks out of Lucas Roth. He's got some 8 seconds, so Sooty Apex. Dan's on the last lap of the race. And here comes Forsey on PN. PN goes defensive. 6th place at the minute. And now Forsey's going to look to the right outside of PN. Fury has passed Lucas Roth. Fury gets a 3-second time penalty for track limits. So that'll help Sutty out. Forsey ahead of PM Motorsport. Job done. And Fury's also passed Sutty Apex. Sutty only just needs to stay with him then, as Fury's gone deep and stays off track there. Well, that happens. So Dan, 13 seconds ahead of Big Boy Brazier. And what a job it's been in this race. He's done the business. He pulled a blinder on the strategy. Jamie, though, we'll never get to know whether Jamie's strategy to start on the hards would have worked, because it hasn't dried up. Dan soft to soft was the tyre's choice to do, and it is going to be 4 wins in a row and race win number 40 here at Simplay Motorsport. Rounding the final couple of corners, and A. Smith is within half a second of PN now. Yellow flag sector 3, not sure who's that for. That's just up ahead. That might be Sutty and Lucas Roth, as they're slow on the slick tyre. But for an Orthodox here then, it's going to be his 4th win in a row. It's a 10-second time penalty for Lucas Roth for exceeding track limits. He goes slow to finish a lap down. It'll be P11 for him, but it's going to be win number 40 for Unorthodox and win number 4 this season. Can anybody stop him? Big Boy Brazier is going to cross the line for P2. A second podium, and it's going to be another story of how he's looked after his tyres once again for Mazda. P3, well ahead of Gary 131, who's lost out massively in this championship tonight. As he's coming to the line now. It's going to be a P4, lost out massively in this championship fight. Rabbit Joe still nowhere near, so while we wait for Rabbit Joe, let's get the top 3 in for a quick chat. But what a night it's been, though. What a night of racing it has been. For Rabbit Joe, another set of solid points here. No points race 1, but a 5th place here will help him in his championship. Forsey then is going to cross the line for a P6, with PN Motorsport crossing the line 7th. Smithy will get an 8th place. For Fury, it will be P9. And for Sutty Apex, who's not yet a lap down, Craig E's finished as well in that one, apologies. So Craig E has come P12 as well. But for Sutty Apex, yet to finish, but he will be P10. It's the only place he can be. And that is all she wrote. Dan's AI has nearly lapped Sutty Apex's car. As he comes to finish this race then, so Sutty rounds out the top 10. The fastest lap of the race went the way of Unorthodox early doors. As someone's joined with a fan right in their microphone. But nonetheless, it is a hot day in the UK. And that is race over. And I forgot to actually do who you guys think for driver of the day. Get your driver of the day comments in the chat below. Then, as I forgot to put the poll out, as Dan once again claims another podium and his 4th win in a row. And he leads the championship 16 points. Clear of Gary 131 and Big Boy Brazier. Now Forsey in P4 ahead of Mazda, up to 5th place now with Fury 6th. Rabbit Joe up into 7th ahead of A. Smith by a point. He's a point ahead of PM Motorsport. Lucas Roth down on 20 points in P10 ahead of DJ Phil Green. Craig up onto 16 points with Leon Fernie and Sutty Apex on 5. Bozzy Boy Bryn, Smoky Devil on 1. And Carlin lead the Constructors' Championship by 9 points from ART. 10 points from Prima, as High Tech now slowly dropped out of that one with Forsey not scoring well and no DJ Phil tonight. Trident 59 points. Univitrosi Racing on 36. HWA Race Lab on 16. Campos on 6. Churros on 5. Well, that's Jamie. Jamie on, I'd say that one, and MP Motorsport on 1. And I do believe we've got the top 2 in. I don't think Jamie is yet in with us. So we will start with Mazda. And Mazda, it's another week where we have to sit here and talk about your tyre strategies.
Yeah. I don't know how. I just risked it, and hoping and praying.
You did well, but the rain just came 5 laps too late for you.
Yeah, a little bit, but like I say, we're going to the end on them softs because we're playing for the rain, but never came till, like you say, till the end there. But yeah,
you tried to stay out on the hard tyre. That didn't work though, did it? It got just too wet.
No, actually, I were going to stay, but like you say, I was kind of like looking at the time between me and Gary, and I thought Gary's pitched way too early for these wets, and then me, Dan were talking about it as well, and they were like, right, no, too wet, now let's go, and then see where we come out, and luckily we got that gap between me and him, and yeah.
Another third place though, can't be too unhappy with that. It's 2 third places in 2 feature races at the moment, and you have to be over the moon with that one.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it? Be on the podium again, especially scoring points for the team, so yeah.
Well done, Mazda, tonight. We haven't yet got Jamie in the chat, so we are going to turn our attention to your race winner on Orthodubs. And Dan, a bit like Algarve, it's kind of gone your own way.
Not Algarve, I didn't win Algarve.
Catalunya, sorry.
Yeah, to be honest, actually, the feature race, I was struggling for pace earlier on. Jamie and Gary had more pace over me. Don't know what it was, due to probably the setup, but I just didn't have the pace to stick with them. So I was just I went for a gamble for the second stint, went for the softs, knowing that the rain was coming, but I didn't know if the softs could last and how long the rain was going to come for. So it was a big gamble, the feature race.
It was a big gamble, but it did pay off in your favour. Did you at one point think Jamie might stay to the end on them hards?
It looked like for a while that he had good pace, and I just couldn't gain enough, and then obviously it got too wet, and then Jamie had to either bail or stick with it, and he obviously chose to bail. So nonetheless, he was giving me a run for my money, and obviously again, for some reason I got 6 seconds of penalty for track limits, which I don't understand for, but hey ho, I had to make the gap, and obviously going to the soft, knowing that I had the 3 seconds would have been the advantage, trying to extend the gap to Jamie. I had better pace and able to extend it as much as far as possible. But me and Mazda the whole time was just watching the weather, hoping that it would rain. And Sutty and Geeks were very amusing in the pie, I gotta say that.
16-second lead in the champion. 16-point lead in the championship now from Gary and Jamie. You're on top now, and it's about now keeping yourself there, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. We're coming up to circuits I tend to enjoy a bit more. China, I think, is next. Not really into that one. But then other than that, most of the other circuits after that will be ones that I enjoy. This one I was actually up and iron about. I didn't know if I was going to be good here or not. But either way, it's been a good round. Top of the table. Lucky number 16 between them. So hopefully I can win a championship that doesn't begin with GT.
Right, well... Yeah, hopefully you can join this elite club then. Nonetheless, you left here 4 wins in a row, 40th win overall. You look like you're going to be the first driver to get to 50 race wins. Just absolutely dominant at the minute, isn't it? 4 on the bounce. It's not been this good since your GT3 season 2 seasons ago.
I tell you not, it's not dominant whatsoever. It's not. These two are really making me work for it. I'm having to think outside the box. I went for maximum top speed, so I was really slow in the corners, but very fast in a straight line. So I think that's where they were gaining me on the dry. But no, it's not as easy as it looks. These two are really making me work hard, and I'm having to think on my toes to make sure that I can stay ahead of them.
Well done, Dan. I'm going to give you driver of the day for the commentary box. Only 1 vote come in for driver of the day, and that's Bozzy Boy giving it the way of Big Boy Brazier. For driver of the day, so Jamie will take the fans' vote for driver of the day, and Daniel will come away with the commentators' vote for driver of the day. That's all we've got time for tonight. Join myself and Unorthodox in the commentary box Wednesday night, 8 p.m. PST, as we go live at Oschersleben. Little each can wrap up the championship for the driver's title and get himself back in the pro division Can Lucas Roth stop him, or JM Grill and Ukbar? They are the only 4 that can win this championship now. It is going, I'd say it's going down to the wire, but I think it's going to be hard to beat Little Leach. He's too consistent at the moment. Can Bozzy Boy take another race win? Who will do what at a track that is going to be horrible for that Mercedes-Benz? We'll have to wait and see. Join Dan and Jamie live as well on Thursday night for Oscherslauben, where Overtaker doesn't lead the championship anymore and has got to now fight back to get that one done with only 4 races left. He has the pace and probably has the car advantage at this circuit. Join Dan and Jamie live for that one, and I'll be back live next Sunday evening for China, Shanghai. Haven't seen it on the calendar since 2019, and we're in Asia for back-to-back races, China and Jeddah, for our first street race of the season. So join us for that one. But from all of us here at Simplay Motorsport, take care. Good night.